So welcome to Strange Paths, a podcast where we read choose your own adventure style stories. We are your hosts. I'm Paul.
I'm Stephanie.
I'm Megan.
And this week, we have a story that I wrote.
Ew.
Yay. I'm excited. It is a mammoth.
It is an epic tale for the times to rival Gilgamesh.
Yes.
Can't wait.
What is it called?
The story is called Teacher's Pet.
Oh, digging back into his roots, I see.
Is it a turtle? Because we already did that.
Is his pet
No,
named Pepperoni?
sorry, it's not a turtle. It's Pepperoni the turtle. The great
Canadian
Pepperoni
bacon?
the turtle. It is not Canadian bacon. Why would that be?
It's a
Teacher's Pet?
similar pizza meat.
Oh, okay. All right.
Sausage the turtle.
That's fair. No, it's neither of those.
So any kind of cured or uncured meat.
Is it sausage?
I don't know. We'll have to find out. won't we?
I guess
How do
so.
you not know? Okay.
You guys want to hop right into it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I gotta
Take me there.
I've been to the Paradise City.
Timely Guns N' Roses joke. I like it.
Topical.
I didn't do a warning or anything, so you know.
What? How am I supposed to know how I'm supposed to feel?
I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know.
I guess that all the choices are for keeps, and if we die, then that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't
Just
have
like in
anything that
life.
says otherwise.
Okay. Love you, sweetie. Your mom calls
Me?
loudly
Oh.
as you exit her her ghost-flamed minivan. Mortified, you look over and see a group of kids nearby that definitely heard everything. Thanks, Mom, you stammer before shutting the door.
Thank you? Really? That's what you say?
Come on.
Love you. Thanks.
Yeah,
I know.
She put ghost flames on her minivan for you.
she did.
That's pretty sweet.
Very
Yes.
sweet.
She peels out of the school parking lot, leaving you to rebuild the social status you just watched crumble away. Not that you had much to begin with, despite your best efforts. High school has been tough. A new place, a new schedule, pranks from the older students, caring for the victims of said pranks, daily active shooter drills, and even the teachers seem meaner. They monitor the halls between classes, and last week one of them even made fun of your old beat-up shoes before breaking out into laughter and high-fiving the other kids and teachers nearby.
Oh my God.
The only one who isn't mean has the opposite problem. She's too nice. Miss Hammergen, the biology teacher, is sickeningly sweet. One of the older students told you it's because she never had any kids of her own, so she treats her students like her own children. The logic seems sound, and at least she doesn't ask anyone to call her mom. Finding a group of friends in the corner of the courtyard, the three of you chat and wait for the fourth of your group, Nathan, to show up.
Ugh, Nathan, I hate him already.
After a while, you check your watch and notice it's only 2 minutes until the bell for school to start. Your friends are too engrossed in their own conversation to notice your lack of involvement. Look, all I'm saying is that a jail made of peanut butter could work. There's no way you could get through enough of the wall before the guards realize what you're doing, says Tom. No way, Mitchell argues. What about the prisoners with nut allergies? Hey guys, where's Nathan? You interject. He's probably exhausted from being Miss Hammergen's helper last week.
Ew.
Besides, he's still a jerk for blowing off Mitchell's pool party on Saturday just because his dad didn't want him to go.
What a dick.
At least
Yeah.
his mom was smart enough to get out of there, Tom responds.
Oh, no.
Just as Mitchell tries to
Are you
redirect...
okay? Like, why did this come out of you?
Just as Mitchell tries to redirect the conversation back to the peanut butter jail, the bell rings for the school day to officially begin. With a collective sigh, the three of you head to your respective classes. Great, you say aloud to yourself. Miss Hammergen is my first class of the day. You walk towards the east wing of the school, careful to keep a wide berth from the 5 school resource officers detaining a student for having facial hair. Shortly thereafter, you see Miss Hammergen waiting outside her classroom door as usual. There's a small line of kids waiting to get inside. When you finally get to her, she begins the same routine she does every single day, with each and every student.
Give mommy a kiss.
Without breaking eye contact, she smiles deeply and doesn't say anything until you meet her gaze and smile back. She reaches out her hands, clasping your right palm with the speed of a striking snake, and coils her bony fingers around your hand.
Ugh.
Good morning, dear child,
Ew.
Miss Hamergen says in a soothing whisper.
Oh, whisper, no!
Fighting your every instinct to gnaw off your hand at the wrist, you instead respond in kind. She squeezes your hand with both of hers, seemingly satisfied, and moves to the side of the doorway. You make your way to your seat. Within a few minutes, the bell rings again to signify the start of class. 20 minutes after that, Miss Hamergen glides in, having welcomed the last of the awaiting students. The students are quiet as Miss Hamergen calls roll and begins her lesson of cellular division. Her soft tone threatens your very consciousness, worse than when the seniors spiked the school's water supply last month. However, her room is lined with various tanks, pods, and cages belonging to a huge assortment of creatures. Nearly all of them are nocturnal, so they aren't super interesting during the day, but the various states of their cages is more than enough to capture your attention span for the next 30 minutes. There are spiders, snakes, bats, hedgehogs, flying squirrels, hedgehogs, and that's just to name a few. Just as you notice a new, much larger cage with bright red casters near the back, you hear Miss Hamergen clear her throat. It's widely speculated that Miss Hamergen used to smoke, or at least lost a lung at some point. Students near the front of the class often wear ear protection just for those moments ever since that one student 4 years ago suffered from a punctured eardrum.
Oh my god, what the fuck?
After a few minutes of enduring the phlegm symphony, Miss Hamergen addresses the class. As you all know, it's a brand new week, which means that it's time to select my new helper to come in after hours to take care of all our little critters. A few kids groan in response. Ignoring the less than enthusiastic murmurs from the class, Miss Hamergen grabs a dart from her desk and shuts the door to her classroom. The back of the door has a grid which correlates to each student's desk in the room. She squints one eye and takes on a stance as though she's about to hurl a javelin to qualify for the Olympics, before letting out a surprisingly low grunt and throwing the dart. A few of the students instantly lean back in relief. You feel the blood leave your hands as you see the dart land squarely on your seat. Taking care of the pets means you won't be able at all or be available at all this week to help Tom construct the life-size peanut butter prison for his younger brother. Who knows, you might end up like Nathan, too exhausted to even come in next week. One or two of the students giving you pitying looks as they leave, a shallow gesture only meant to signify their own happiness in being left out for once. As you gather your things and head to the door, Miss Hamergen calls out, 6 o'clock sharp, dear. Otherwise we'll be here all night. You groan and head to your next class. The rest of your day feels like a fog. Without the promise of relief in the evening, your subconscious seems to at least be trying to shield you from the horrors of not getting to go home and idly flip through the channels in the living room while you wish you could do something exciting like what your parents get to do all day while you're stuck at school. Instead, you go home and make a meager dinner of peanut butter and jelly. Tearing through it like a prisoner, desperate to escape the surroundings, you make your best attempt at homework before grabbing your bike and heading back to school. By the time you arrive, it's nearly dark. Finding the side entrance unlocked, you make your way through the empty halls towards Miss Hamergen's classroom. Her room is the only one lit. As you walk in, you're shocked at what you see.
Is lit like how the kids
No.
say it? Is lit.
Like has lights on.
I know what it means.
By
Miss
the way,
Hamergen is...
Oh, sorry.
Yes. No, go ahead.
There's was a news story a while ago about a man who escaped prison by using peanut butter somehow. I don't know exactly how to change the number on the cells. And he convinced one of the guards to open the door to the outside because he'd made it look like his cell number. And he escaped.
That's awesome.
I don't know.
Crafty.
Anyway, continue.
He deserves it.
As you walk in, you're shocked at what you see. Miss Hamergen is seated behind her desk, her legs propped up as she reads an old magazine. Puffs of smoke emanate from behind the magazine as you realize she's smoking. All right, kid, traps or cages, she says with a laugh. You can't help but notice she seems more lively than usual. You're unsure what to say. She lets out a teasing sigh and repeats the question. Traps or cages? You'll need to finish them today before you can go home.
Why does she sound like that?
Which should you do? If you think you should go check Miss Hammergen's traps, go to page 4. If you think you should check the cages, go to page 8.
Okay, so I know what traps are, but what muscle are cages?
Uh-huh.
Oh, you want to do traps?
Yeah.
All right.
While heading back to the door, you are stopped by Miss Hammergen's voice, which echoes across the empty hall. Don't forget to bring Smasher and the bait, she says. You can't help but notice that her voice has taken on a much gruffer quality when she's not teaching. You look back to her, and she directs you towards an old, rusted hammer leaning against the wall by the door. Along its handle, the word Smasher has been crudely etched into it, along with what appear to be simple depictions of skulls.
Oh my god. What? Are we going to kill animals? Did you make a story where we have to choose to kill animals?
You guys are making the choices, not me.
That's not the question I asked you.
That's the answer, though. Next to the hammer is a small metal bucket filled with a thick, congealed mass that seems to be bubbling along the edges and emits a foul odor. When you grab both items, she nods and pulls the magazine back up to continue reading. Along the cover of the magazine, you cannot recognize the specific language, but instead you make out what appear to be little slugs in appropriately sized bee cribs in a dollhouse.
Hey. Call back.
Oh, and don't forget to only check traps with the green flags I set out there. If you see any black flags, that means stay away. Try to hurry up. I'll need your help with the cages as soon as you get done.
What? She has traps or cages.
Yeah.
She said, what should you want to do first?
Oh. I was thinking of my muscle joke, so.
You head out to the edge of the school grounds and quickly find one of the green flags tied to a small tree near an opening in the woods. There's a path that is quickly obscured by branches and darkness within just a few feet of the opening. Or within a few feet of the opening. Looking back at the school, you think you can make out Miss Hammergen's silhouette sitting at her desk. With a heavy sigh, you head into the woods. You walk only a short distance before coming across the first trap underneath the green flag. The trap itself is a basic live animal pen with a one-way door. As you inspect the trap closer, you find that it has been given a new door from where the metal casings have been blown out from within, as though it was done by some small explosion.
I'm scared.
Carefully peering inside, you don't see any signs of an animal. Unsure of what else to do, you take a small scoop of the congealed substance within the bucket you brought along and carefully smear it onto the bottom of the trap before trying to wedge the cage against a nearby tree trunk so that the new opening is obscured. It takes a while before you find the second trap. From a distance, you don't notice anything within other than what appears to be some sort of black ash. But as you stoop down, you freeze once you spot a strange frog-like creature. Along its back, you can see several reddish pustules, 2 of which have been popped.
Is it Bulbasaur?
Ew. Yeah, is it?
Maybe this is where it releases its young, you whisper to yourself.
I'm saying that.
Oh, maybe once a long, long time ago, says the frog creature in a wary tone. These days, it seems to be more of a hindrance. In any case, I seem to be stuck in this contraption. Your teacher's an evil woman who has committed crimes against nature herself. Please, you must release me, or my fate is sealed. You pinch your own arm.
Aww.
It stings. Immediately, your mind swells with thoughts of the fame you could find with the talking frog. You've seen enough Saturday morning cartoons to know that it's a risk, but the temptation of traveling from city to city to show your very own magical talking frog is almost too much to pass up.
I mean, you can't just choose to take this animal for your own success and stuff.
So what should you do? If you decide to release the frog, turn to page 6. Otherwise, turn to page 7.
I've already decided.
So we're going to release.
I want to release it. Those cartoons are infuriating.
Yeah,
So we do or don't?
I do.
You do?
Yeah,
Yeah.
release it.
Let's ask so nicely.
All right.
Yeah, it's got weird back issues.
It's got enough to deal with.
With your mind set on earning a living by traveling across the country with your only companion, a talking frog-like creature, you reach over to release the hatch. You quickly find that your strength does not quite match your ambitions towards your frog-filled future, though. The frog is talking, but you're busy scanning your immediate surroundings to try to find something to aid in your task. You try prying open the door with a thick stick you found nearby, but it snaps cleanly in half. Feeling the promise of fame and notoriety slipping away so soon after you have dreamed of it for so long.
But we said we didn't want to get fame.
You did.
No, I want to release the frog.
Yeah.
I thought we were releasing it into nature.
No, you're releasing it to take it with you.
Well, what was the other option?
Keep it, letting it stay in the cage.
Why would we do that? What are we checking the cages for? I'm so confused right now. Okay.
Well, I'll stick with the choice, but I also thought we were just going to let it go.
I can see why you'd think that.
It's in the word release.
Fine. All right, so the choice...
God.
All right. Do we want to go back and say the choice was taking the frog or letting him go?
No, I'll stick with
We'll
this.
just go for it.
Okay.
I want to get stressed
Yeah.
out.
All right. Feeling the promise of fame and notoriety slipping away so soon after you've dreamed of it for so long, you sit and try to think of how you can get to your prize. You recall an old fable your dad used to tell you. The fable involved a greedy kid who had wandered into the woods only to come across a magical talking squirrel. The squirrel was trapped in a cage much stronger than any of the others in the forest.
This is such a applicable story to his life.
And the kid was desperate to see the squirrel be freed for his own gain. The kid was able to knock the door open just enough by using an old rusted baseball bat called Basher. Once freed, the kid was immediately killed by the squirrel, who was then able to sacrifice the kid's remains to the forest in a tradition which we today know as Arbor Day.
All right.
If only I had Basher, you say aloud. Wait, you have Smasher. Maybe that will be enough.
Yeah, it rhymes.
You grip the handle of the old rusted hammer, but have a hard time keeping your grip due to the smoothness of the handle from years of smashing. Looking for something to wrap around the handle, you find a black triangular piece of cloth on the ground nearby and wrap it around the handle. Raising Smasher above your head, you bring it down and strike a terrible blow to the hatch of the cage with all of the fierceness and might of an unathletic high school freshman. The frog creature seems pleased as it inspects your work, despite the fact that you only managed to make a very small opening by warping the hatch and bending the door. You try to catch your breath from all the manual labor you've had to do today, when you notice that one of the pustules along the frog's back begins to glow.
Oh, no.
Leaning in, you hear the frog speak one last time. An Arbor Day's feast for all.
Oh, you tricked us.
A blinding flash hits you as the pustule on the back of the frog explodes, ripping the cage apart and driving shrapnel into your soft, sensitive neck. As you sit back and try to take in what has just happened, you notice several other small woodland creatures have come out from the trees and bushes nearby. Just as you pass out from blood loss, you feel them start to pull at your appendages as they guide your body to the roots of the nearby trees.
No, Arbor
I'm
Day.
so scared. I didn't know it was around Arbor Day.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So you guys...
So, I feel tricked.
Yeah, we all feel tricked.
Yeah. So you guys can go back and deal with the cages instead, or you can not try to release the frog.
So then why would she send
Let's
us
not.
out?
I don't know.
Does she want us to be sacrificed for Arbor Day?
We're like her
That's
children.
a good question.
I want to not release him now.
Yeah, leave him in his disgusting pustules and his fake politeness.
Okay. So we're not helping the frog. So the frog continues to talk at length, but after a few minutes, your mind wanders off to other thoughts. Man, this frog sure talks a lot. That might get pretty old after a while. Maybe better just to take a video of the frog instead? You pull out your phone and record a short video of the frog, making its case for why it should be released. Once you're satisfied that this should at least net you a few hundred views on YouTube, you stop recording and sit back on the floor of the forest in front of the cage. Please, I beseech you. I have a wife and 3 small frogettes. They'll starve without me. You must release me before that harpy of a woman returns. She'll be the end of me. Do you understand what that means? As you consider the frog's pleading, you notice that it's getting darker in the woods. If you don't head back soon, you might be stuck out here all night. Getting up, you let out a half-hearted apology to the frog and head back up the trail to find your way back to the school to help Miss Hamergen with the cages. The frog's cries for help continue until you reach the school grounds.
That is just so gut-wrenching.
Continue on page 8. So.
Can't wait for more of this sort of feeling.
Yeah. So page 8 goes on. So you're heading back to the school to help with the cages. Everyone knows where Miss Hamergen keeps the cages at night. In addition to the few she has lining the windows of the classroom, dozens of cages also remain set up in her office. Mitchell claims that her office is a haven for misfit animals that would wreak havoc if they were set loose.
All right, I'm into it. Okay. Turning things around.
Past helpers refuse to talk about it. However, you recall at least one time when Miss Hamergen had to go back to her office to retrieve a few more frogs to dissect since Jake, the class clown, kept losing the ones he was dissecting. The cacophony of growls, snorts...
Hilarious, Jake.
The cacophony of growls, snorts, cries, screams, yells, squawks, barks, yelps, whistles, taps, tips, and bellows caused you and several other students to do one thing. Gasp.
Just what she was going for.
Wait, does she have like a lion with wings and like a gun that squirts jelly?
Yeah, so it's back there.
And stuff like that.
And a cowboy riding an ostrich.
I don't know that it's Misfit Toys, but it could be.
An ostrich, a lion, an elephant. Ever heard of him?
What's wrong with that elephant?
Polka dots?
I don't know.
Is that it?
I mean, look, I got a chicken pox.
Oh, so it's just diseased. Okay.
Upon opening the door with your already clammy hands, you find the cages are all covered and the sounds are not nearly as raucous as usual. The room itself is more impressive than you expected. You had seen a few other teachers' offices before, but this was the first time that it wasn't just because you're getting a stern lecture for failing a test, or a confusing offer to be the subject for the new camera the gym teacher just purchased. Instead...
Why? Ugh. This is abusive.
Instead, the room has a large desk in the center, covered in vines, colorful flowers, as well as a few you don't recognize. All along the walls are the cages, which effectively make the room seem much smaller than it would be otherwise. The cages vary in size, shape, and composition, but nearly every one of them seem to be occupied, or at least covered. Walking over to the first cage nearest to the door, you see a little note card outlining the basic instructions for how to deal with the animal inside. It reads, Ichabod Crane. Do not clear out anything from the cage. Simply place 3 drops from the pipette into his throat. A little confused, you slowly peel back the sheet, only to find a small creature with wings, but with no head.
I'm upset.
The bird-like creature lets out a strange gurgle from the top of its neck. Taking the dropper, you hold it over Ichabod, who seems to know it's time for food, despite not being able to see.
Ichabod, am I right? Huh?
Mm-hmm.
Icky. He's just a body. Yeah!
You let the dropper drip 1, 2, 3 times.
A lady.
Ichabod lets out a gentle gurgle that almost sounds like cooing. You quickly recover his cage with the sheet, attempting to preemptively suppress the memory so you can bring it up a few years from now in therapy.
I think that was a pleasant encounter.
The next cage dwarfs the others nearby, and there's a fresh note card attached. You pull it off. New arrival, keep covered. You peek back into the classroom, but find that Miss Hamergen has left the room temporarily. Perhaps she had to use the restroom.
Is this like a fairy tale witch? Like she's just giving you the tools for your own destruction?
In any case, you return to the larger cage and carefully pull the covering back as quietly as you can muster.
It's your student friend, isn't it?
I don't know. The cage itself is steel and sits on bright red casters. Inside is just a dog. Not even a particularly special breed or anything, just a mutt. Dude, you have to help me. It's me, Nathan.
Oh, I'm the smartest person in the world.
The dog
Got it.
says.
Nailed it.
The dog says, but not in that awkward way that movies make CGI animals talk. The sound is more natural, even though it does come out a little gruff like Scooby-Doo. You feel goosebumps on your arms.
Wait, can you say it again like you're supposed to?
No. You feel goosebumps on your arms. You assume Nathan was only sick. You start to reach for the cage latch, but have second thoughts. How do I know you're the real Nathan? Remember the time Mitchell and me told your dad that you thought his obsession with his keyboard was stupid, and he straight up cried in front of us before trying to justify all of its features in a high-pitched, squeaky voice before running off and locking himself in the room for the rest of the night? This is definitely Nathan. How did he end up as a dog in Miss Hammergen's office? What did she do to him? All right, Nathan, I remember my own birthday, you reply. You look to the latch, but see that it's locked. After spending a few minutes looking for anything to help you open Nathan's cage, you come up with nothing. Maybe you should get an authority figure involved. The principal would be your best bet since she's Miss Hammergen's boss. If you decide to go check the principal's office and tell him what you've seen, go to page 11. If you think it's not worth the trouble, turn to page 10.
I thought you said she.
What?
She's
Oh.
her boss.
Yeah, I meant she as in he.
I just feel like adults never believe you when something
adults
crazy
are
and
very
magic's
good.
going on.
After mulling over your options for a few minutes, you realize Miss Hammergen would quickly figure out who let Nathan go. There's also quite a few more cages to get through, and you're ready to get back home. Your mom had even mentioned that she might have left a bean cuisine in the freezer. Plus, she had brought home a whole... Plus, she had brought home a whole case of some brand new coffee-flavored soda.
No.
Oh, man.
Sorry.
The perfect meal.
Sorry, Nathan, but it looks like you'll have to figure this one out on your own. You pull the sheet
What?
back over the
Oh.
cage and ignore Nathan's
You keep
pleas
tracking
for
I
us.
didn't
help,
realize that was the choice.
while you quickly make your way through the rest of the cages in the room.
He's doing this on purpose.
You manage to make short work of the task and feel
Yeah.
satisfied with the job well done.
You don't want us to choose the cute endings, and you're super mean, and my eye is really itchy.
As you close the door to Miss Hammergen's office, you only hear the sounds of her pets eating their respective dinners and the soft whimpering of Nathan. Back in the classroom, you don't see any sign of Miss Hammergen. Taking this as your cue to leave, you quickly head back home and enjoy a well-microwaved dinner while quietly ignoring any nagging feelings you might have had in the back of your mind. The end.
He is destroying my heart.
You didn't even want to write a story. You just wanted to, hurt
Yeah,
us.
why'd you spend a week writing this story to be mean to us?
I don't know. So
Yeah.
you guys want to go talk to the principal? Or?
Yes.
All right.
Is the principal gonna, kill a parakeet with a hammer in front of us or
He just
something?
might. I don't know. We'll have to find out.
I have information that I would very much like to share at this moment, but I don't know if it would ruin
You
it.
can share it. It'll be fun.
Last week, he asked me how Gimp died. So that
What?
very well may be what happens.
Okay, I'll go ahead and reveal this part.
God.
I asked because that was whenever I was writing about Ichabod Crane.
Okay.
And I wanted to make sure that Gimp wasn't decapitated. Because I felt like that might be insensitive.
Okay. As long as
Also,
I know.
listeners, Gimp is a bird that, that Megan used to own and not just a strange man in a
Yeah.
Gimp suit that we
His
have
Gimp
tied
bird.
up.
He was a sweet boy.
Yeah, he died mysteriously.
Yeah, and he would get on your finger really begrudgingly if you would say,
Yeah.
like over and over.
He hated it. He did not want to get on.
He did love seed sticks.
Oh.
Oh, how much he loved them.
Okay, so going to the principal. With no way readily available to help Nathan, you decide your best bet is to get the principal involved. You haven't been to his office before. In fact, you aren't even sure of his name. But surely he'll be of some help. After finding no signs of Miss Hammergen, you head to the front office and find the principal's office denoted by the placard at his door. Principal Muscles. He is a principal. You knock on the door a few times but don't hear any response. After a few minutes of debating between heading back to the classroom and trying to make it back home, you decide to test the lock. To your surprise, the door is unlocked. As you crack the door open and step inside, you find out why there has been no answer. Awards decorate the wall of the office from various academies, schools, and educational conferences. However, instead of a desk, there are several beanbags arranged in a circle, and in the middle sits a scrawny man attempting to do push-ups with headphones on.
Muscles.
3! Principal Muscles cries out, sweating profusely as his stick-like arms propel his torso away from the floor of his office. His short-sleeved, button-down shirt and pleated khakis hang loosely from his body, like a child who's put on their parents' clothes in an attempt to hasten their life towards adulthood. Across his head sits a pair of gigantic headphones attached to an old tape player. Between the two of you, the tape casing sits. You read it. 96 Grammy Awards Applause Isolation Track.
Oh.
Hesitantly, you stop the tape player to get the principal's attention. Principal Muscles looks up and scuttles backwards into one of the beanbag chairs, taking a few deep breaths before meeting your gaze. You start to explain what you've seen in Miss Hamergen's office, but the principal looks at you confused. He then takes off the massive headphones. "What are you doing here so long after the last bell?" asks Principal Muscles. You try to explain the situation as best you can, but Principal Muscles does not seem amused or overly concerned with what you tell him. If only you had some proof of a talking animal, even if it's not your friend Nathan.
Oh, you do? Yes.
If you have proof of a talking animal, turn to page 13.
Oh, turn to that page.
All right. Pulling out your phone, you show Principal Muscles the video you took earlier of the frog in the forest. After a little more convincing to show him that you weren't just showing an edited video from the YouTubes, he starts to take you more seriously. That Miss Hamergen has always been a bit of an odd one. The seniors don't even pick on her during prank year. Last year, they dug up the corpse of my late wife and posed her outside my bedroom and window at night. I had nightmares for months thinking that she had unfinished business until one day they left a fake note from her professing her undying love for me. That's when I figured out that it wasn't real.
Oh, no.
Principal Muscles trails off and looks out the window. As he does, you follow his gaze and see several seniors scramble away from view as what appears to be a disheveled corpse collapses onto the ground. In any case, Principal Muscles interrupts, let's go see what this is all about. Principal Muscles follows you as the two of you head back to Miss Hamergen's room. You are somewhat relieved to still have found no sign of the teacher. Entering into her office, you discover a horrific scene. In the center of the room, a cage has been smashed to bits. Pieces of plastic and metal are scattered across the floor. The animals in the other cages are much more lively than earlier, and Miss Hamergen's desk has been pushed back. You sift through the parts of the cage and find a partially torn note card like the ones attached to the other cages. Scrawled on the section of paper in Miss Hamergen's writing is just one word: Nathan. You show Principal Muscles, and even he seems to be a little concerned at this point. "Hey, look," he says while pointing to a section of the floor underneath Miss Hamergen's desk. He signals you over, and the two of you manage to push the desk back even further, revealing a trap door with a simple ring handle. The two of you manage to pull the door open, revealing a ladder that leads into the darkness below. Wordlessly, the two of you climb down below. The floor is a dark brick tile, and lit sconces illuminate the hallway in front of you. Principal Muscles leads the way as you follow the hallway into an open room. In the middle of the room lies an old, ornate table. Upon the table, various items are displayed, including a chalice, a dagger, and other knickknacks.
A chalice and a dagger knickknacks.
Mm-hmm. Drawn in by the display, you think maybe you should take one of the items, but which one? If you decide to grab the dagger, turn to page 16. If you decide to take the chalice, turn to page 15. If you think Principal Muscles should choose, turn to page 14.
I kind of want to know what Muscles wants to do.
Muscles chooses.
Okay. I think maybe you should take something from the table, you say to Principal Muscles. Principal Muscles moves over to the table and peruses various items set upon it. In what feels like a frustratingly long time, he carefully inspects each item in his hands, careful to never hold more than one at a time. With his back to you, he holds one aloft and declares his choice has been made. He turns to you with excitement, but the look on your face once you see what's in his hand quickly becomes one of disgust. An old, moldy, hard-boiled egg.
Perfect choice. Yes, Muscles.
Oh, what a great choice.
Just why, you ask Principal Muscles. Before responding, Principal Muscles pops the egg into his mouth in one bite. He finishes the egg as you try not to retch from the smell and horror of having to watch an adult chew with their mouth open. Upon finishing the egg, Principal Muscles doubles over to the ground. "What's wrong?" you say in a tone clearly indicating you know what's wrong, but you should ask anyway, because what else do you say in this situation? Principal Muscles starts to writhe on the ground, his arms convulsing and flexing at inhuman speeds.
Oh, he's getting buff.
You take a few steps back, and the principal moves into a plank position and quickly belts out a flurry of push-ups of various styles.
Hell yeah.
Wide,
Right.
diamond, clap, one-handed, no-handed, pinkies out, pinkies only, and even the forbidden tree form push-ups flash before your eyes as you hold up a hand and turn your face away.
What's tree form?
A few seconds later, you hear a much more confident and baritone voice address you. "I think we're good now. Let's get out of here," says Principal Muscles.
I got a crush on Principal Muscles.
Yeah, we all do.
You turn back to the principal, noticing the scraps of tattered shirt sleeves laying on the ground around him as he continues to flex and pose in place. His arms are now roughly the size of your torso, and his chest has the appearance of someone who eats 6 dozen eggs a day.
Why can't you get
Right.
this number right?
Wait, because it's 5 for Gaston, right?
Yeah.
He eats more than Gaston, motherfucker.
He keeps, okay, but in my defense, he cannot remember most of the time how many dozen. And it's happened a lot recently where you'll say a number. We're like, why are you saying that number? I don't know. It's weird.
Wait, what about Nathan and Miss Hammergen? You plead while reaching to pull his arm to turn back to the table. Principal Muscles' intimacy instincts kick in and he pushes you away. With his newfound strength, you fly into the wall. Hitting the floor with a thud, the wall gives away and collapses on top of you, killing you instantly.
Hey.
The end.
God. Hey, all right.
Hey, yeah. All right. He's so strong now. He's so happy. Good.
I am happy for Muscles, but
I mean, what are we going to do? She's obviously going to turn us into an animal. It's better we just die now at Muscles' hands.
ooh, do you think that corpse wife is gonna like him now?
I don't know.
Hell yeah.
I'm so excited for him.
So do you guys want to try the chalice or the dagger?
I think Chalice.
Chalice?
Okay.
Okay. Of all the items at the table, the one that seems to stand out to you the most is the chalice in the middle. It is an unadorned wooden cup, but it carries a hefty weight as you lift it. To your surprise, it's already filled with water. You're thankful since you've been pretty thirsty in the last 5 seconds.
Drink your water you find in a basement.
You start to ask Principal Muscles if he thinks it's safe to drink, but the principal is busy looking at a photo in his wallet of a young woman. You take a sip.
Yikes.
The room immediately starts to spin. Lights of various colors blink in and out of your peripheral vision as you topple into the table and crash onto the floor. You vaguely recall a tug on your shoulder from a very tiny arm. Then everything goes dark. You awake in bed a week later, or so you're told by your parents. While your dad can't get over how lazy you've been, you can't believe they didn't bother to change the sheets at all during the week.
What? Why?
What do you mean, why?
Why do you need your bed sheets changed in 1 week?
Well, if you've been in bed for an entire week and you haven't done anything else, why might you want your sheets changed?
I don't know. Okay, that's gross.
Checking the clock, you see that it's only 2 minutes until school starts.
Yeah, Paul, why didn't they have a bedpan?
I don't know. Arriving a little late despite your mom's best efforts, you head to biology while noting the unusually somber demeanor your classmates have taken on in your absence. Upon getting to Miss Hammergen's class and taking your seat, you realize Nathan is back.
Hey.
Nathan, where have you been? What do you mean? You've been the one who's out all week. Besides, it's not like Nathan is cut off by the morning announcements. To your surprise, they include the introduction of a new principal, Principal Sweaters. You look at Nathan trying to see if he has any reaction, but he seems to be refusing to make eye contact with you. In fact, he's sweating profusely. Just as the announcements finish, Miss Hammerton walks in and gives you a broad smile before starting class. You look back at Nathan, who shakes his head almost imperceptibly. The end.
What the fuck? What do you mean?
What?
I don't understand what's happening.
Well, Nathan's back to normal. He
No,
doesn't
he's
want
not.
to talk about it.
Who's Principal Sweaters?
He's the new principal.
There's something happening that you want us to know, but we don't.
Something happened to Principal
We
Muscles.
Yeah, but what?
I don't know. Like, I'm just being, you don't know.
Oh,
as the
okay.
leader. You've passed out and woke up a week later.
Huh.
And suddenly there's a new principal and Nathan's back to normal, but he does not want to talk about it.
You don't know why.
That's upsetting. I feel upset.
I am upset too.
All right. We don't know.
So do you guys want to try the dagger?
Yeah.
Okay.
With Nathan,
Paul's acting serial killer.
Yeah, I'm scared.
with Nathan possibly in danger, you need to arm yourself in case Principal Muscles needs backup. You grab the dagger. It's light and feels comfortable in your hand. As you inspect it, a click echoes from the wall, and a hidden doorway opens up in the brick. Miss Hammerton, shocked to see guests, emerges from the hidden passage. What on earth are you two doing in here? Are you going through my things? Her hair seems to glow in the dim lighting, and her eyes flash yellow. Miss Hammerton, Principal Muscles stammers. This student is convinced that you kidnapped one of his classmates. However, it's clear now that we've talked, this is not the case. We're terribly sorry for intruding into your office. Wait, where's Nathan? Your hand tightens around the dagger's hilt. It feels like an extension of your hand pulling you forward as if acting of its own will, thrusting towards Miss Hammerton. Principal Muscles attempts to step in the way. It doesn't look like you'll be able to stop the dagger from reaching a target, but you might be able to adjust which one it hits. If you decide to direct the dagger towards Miss Hammerton, turn to page 17. Otherwise, turn to page 18.
Hammerton.
Hammerton? Steph?
I don't know.
Oh, she's spiraling.
I'm just so confused. Sure, we'll do Hammerton.
Okay. The dagger lodges itself deep within Hammerton's torso, and she lets out a blood-curdling scream. Principal Muscle steps back in shock as Hammerton pulls the dagger out of herself. No blood comes out of the wound.
Ew.
Instead, she looks towards you, her pupils forming into thin slits as you meet her stare. She starts muttering a foreign incantation, and you become trapped in place. Before she can finish, the stab wound in her side begins to glow, and she lets out a sharp cry. Her hair begins to fall off in clumps, and her flesh sags against her frame.
Ew, what the
She
fuck?
collapses to the ground and melts in a pool. As the liquid coagulates, smoke releases from the center of the pile, causing your lungs to constrict. Your knees buckle and you catch your fall with your hands before slumping over to the ground onto your face. The room goes dark. When your eyes open next, you find yourself in Miss Hammerton's class. Nearby, Principal Muscles is stirring as well. You walk towards her office in the back of the classroom, your feet stinging as blood returns to them, hoping to help Nathan escape. Instead of cages, you find a basic supply room with shelves of petri dishes, Bunsen burners, and vats of formaldehyde. Over your shoulder, Principal Muscles says, "Well, I'm glad this isn't just another senior prank where I wake up in a teacher's room with a random student. My wife never did believe me on that one." He pauses before looking towards you. Unfortunately, we have a pretty strict zero-tolerance policy in regards to students acting violently towards teachers, so I'm afraid you're expelled.
Oh, shit.
You try to plead your case, but Principal Muscles refuses to change his mind. Unsure what to say about Nathan and ready to leave, you bike home, hoping your next school has their own lab assistants.
That's messed up. That's real messed up.
It's messed up.
You guys have one more choice.
We have two more choices. We have one more
Do?
choice. Well, cages first was the other choice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, I guess stab muscles.
Yeah.
All right.
Gotta get those muscles under control.
Directing the dagger towards Principal Muscles, you feel a sickening squish as it makes contact.
Ew.
Ew.
The principal doubles over in pain and quickly passes out. The horror of the situation is punctuated by the laughter emanating from Miss Hammergen.
Ew.
Yes, my helper. Today you have done something grand. Today you have removed the only remaining obstacle from my path. For that, you must be rewarded. Your stomach churns and your heart pounds in your chest, threatening to escape as she speaks. She steps over and produces a leash from her sleeve. You may have one of my pets.
Ooh, Ichabod Crane.
She leads you back through her hidden passage to a room punctuated by pits dug into the ground. In each of them, various animals have made their homes from the scraps of newspaper and cardboard lining the walls. You begin to tear up from the odor in the air.
Aww.
You see, these pets are unloved. It is only by my hand that they are given a chance to be happy.
In a pee-pee room with cardboard?
I retrieve them from the dangers of the forest and give them a home. But what about Nathan, you protest? Ah, yes, Nathan. Did you ever wonder why your parents never let you go to sleepovers at his house? Did you choose to ignore your steady-handed lab partner's bruises on his arms he says he got from being clumsy? Did you not notice how his cereal came in bags instead of boxes?
God.
Nathan clearly had a terrible home. He should be much happier now. As she finishes, you see Nathan, still very much a dog. You step down into the pit and hold out the end of the leash. Nathan cautiously steps forward, sniffs the leash before sitting, and wags his tail, kicking up bits of paper. Although he never speaks again, you give him a good life and home for the years to come. The end.
Okay. Man, so I feel like Paul has written this story to upset us.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want us to find the nice ending the first time like we usually do. And so he's like, there is no nice ending.
What's wrong with the last ending?
What?
You give Nathan a good home.
Yeah, but he's...
But you probably,
dumb.
like, when you're petting him, you, like, accidentally brush his penis.
Or like...
That happens.
Yeah, or like, you know that he's a dude. And you're like, okay. Like, you can't really have a good owner-dog relationship with him because you know that he's a dude.
Yeah.
So I would just be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Like, here's your dog food that you have to eat now forever.
Do you make him scrambled eggs, like, without salt and stuff?
Paul,
Do I make him scrambled eggs?
without...
Yeah.
Or do you guys make him scrambled eggs?
This isn't us.
This is you.
Here I thought I was writing an entertaining story.
It was entertaining. I like Principal Muscles.
Mm-hmm.
I like Ichabod Crane more than I probably should.
Oh, he's so cute.
He's a cutie.
I'm still confused about why everyone was upset at you and
Yeah.
principal sweaters and stuff.
Yeah.
Is that we're supposed to, like, deduce and we're just...
No, it's just one of those things where, like, you pass out and stuff has happened.
Maybe.
So it's just upsetting because we don't know
Yeah.
and...
Yeah. Well, it's one of those endings where, like, you got knocked out, someone else
Get
has
up
disappeared now.
Maybe we can prize it out of our friends over, like, whenever you have a slumber party and things get weird late at night and people are like, I'll tell you whatever. Am I right? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That was a really unsettling story,
Yeah, I'm unsettled.
which is not it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But
Thank God I have this chocolate close
I'm
by.
probably gonna be thinking about it for a long time.
Yeah.
Well, good job, babe. You
Oh,
unsettled
thanks.
the shit out of us.
I hope everyone else is equally as upset out there.
Yeah.
Well, if you would like to email us and tell us about how
Tell
upset
us
you
how
are,
upset you are.
you can email us at strangepathspodcast@gmail.com.
Or you can tweet at us at StrangePassPod on Twitter.
Or you can write to me and me alone. All of the unsettling things that turn you on against your will at bozosglowglobes
It's
at
always a sexual
gmail.com.
Yeah. Like, what do you think about brushing your friend's dog penis, you know?
Yeah.
I don't want to hear about that.
That's
Which
why.
is-
That's why
Megan
email me.
has
Always
her
send
own.
it supposedly.
Right.
Thank
guess
you.
we'll see you
Thank you
guys.
for writing your tale.
Yeah.
We loved it.
Yeah.
I can tell.
Paul, you unsettled us. What do you expect?
All right. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.